Have you ever felt like business, sports, and life were all just a gigantic game and everyone seemed to have the cheat codes except for you? Well, buckle up, because we're about to embark on a journey of winning strategies and stacked decks. But before I dive deep into the nuances, I want everyone to take a minute and think with me. On what do you believe is the most important part to your success? Is it about the industry you choose, or is it about choosing the industry that's right for you? And honestly, what's the difference? Before I tell you about how you can find a game that's rigged in your favor, I want to tell you a story and give you an example of someone who found that game in their life and played it for a very long time. And his name is Michael Phelps. Michael Phelps is the greatest professional swimmer the world has ever seen. To put in perspective just how great he is at swimming, in his swimming career, he broke 39 world records, won a total of 28 medals, 23 of which were gold, which is the most by Olympian by far in any sport. To put in perspective, the person with second most has 9. So he has more than twice as many gold medals as that person. And the question that arises in most people's minds is, how could he be so good at swimming? Well, it's simply because it's a game that was rigged in his favor. Michael Phelps is 6'4", ideal height for swimming, with a 6'7" wingspan. Above average wingspan gives him extra pulling power in the water. You pair this with the fact that he has size 14 feet and huge hands that essentially act as his human versions of flippers and paddles in the water, and you have the clearest example. You pair this with some intense workouts, and you have the clearest example that a game can be rigged in your favor. Now, I know what you all are thinking. Like, that's great for Michael Phelps, but how does this apply to me in my life? Well, before I knew about how perfect Michael Phelps was for swimming, I noticed some of these things in my own life, that some things just came a lot easier than others. Like, some things come to you as easy as your name, to whereas other things feel like you bang your head up against a wall. Like, does this sound familiar? Does this resonate with anyone? Well, let me tell you all about how you can find a game that's rigged in your favor. I've studied multiple people across multiple different industries over multiple different time frames. And I found 5 factors to be most common and most prevalent across people who found the game that's rigged in their favor, and those are the 5 that I'm gonna share with you all today. And the first 2 are, what environment are you in, and what do you have a proclivity to? The Kalenjin tribe of Kenya are the greatest example of what environment and proclivity can do for you. They are the greatest group of distance runners the world has ever seen. To put in perspective just how good they are at distance running, they had 32 people in the calendar month, October 2011, to run a 2-hour, 11-minute marathon time. And the reason that that's significant is because up until this time point, only 17 Americans had ever accomplished this feat. And they had 32 people to do it in a calendar month. And that's crazy enough when you're just looking at it on the surface, but when you actually peel things layer back and find out that they had a population estimated around 5 million at this time compared to America's 311 million. That means America literally has 60 times more people. So the question that arises in most people's minds is, how could they be so good at distance running? Well, it's because the game was rigged in their favor. From the time they're young, they're encouraged to participate in sports such as running, jumping, and weightlifting. From ages as young as 10, they're encouraged to start running marathons, on top of the fact that they run multiple miles to and from school each and every day. You pair this with the fact that they've been living in an environment with these environmental cues for over 1,000+ years, and their bodies have learned to adapt. So much so that they've developed extremely thin legs at the extremities, causing them to have extremely thin ankles and calves, which cause them to use less energy when running. You pair this with the fact that they also have a higher than average lung capacity, meaning they're bringing in more oxygen. Now, how many of us know that if you're racing somebody and they're using less energy, and bringing in more oxygen, that you're at more of a disadvantage the longer that the distance gets. So what environment are you in? What do you have a proclivity to? The next two are, what do you have access to and who do you have access to? People know that Bill Gates and Paul Allen founded Microsoft in 1975, but people don't know that they were at one of the only high schools in the world with a computer in the 60s. One of the only high schools in the world with a computer in the 60s. How many of us know that that's an extreme head start and advantage if you want to start a computer and technology company? So what do you have access to? Who do you have access to? And last but not least, what comes natural to you? Michael Phelps for 20 years straight did not miss a single workout. How many of us know you can't do anything for 20 years straight unless it's something that comes easy and natural to you? So those are the 5 factors. I'm going to recap them one more time. What environment are you in? What do you have a proclivity to? Who do you have access to? What do you have access to? And last but not least, what comes natural to you? In other words, what comes easy for you that's hard for others? Now that I've talked about those 5 factors and how you can find a game that's rigged in your favor, I want to give you all a couple more examples of people who found those games in their lives and played them for a very long time. And the next one I'm going to share with you all is Serena Williams, one of the greatest professional women tennis players we've ever seen. Over her 27-year tennis career, she amassed $95 million in on-the-court earnings, which if you do the math, averages about to $3.5 million a year, which is amazing. Actually better than amazing, but it pales in comparison to the $45 million she made in 2023 alone, solely off endorsements and partnerships without having to play a single tennis match. $3.5 million a year playing tennis, $45 million in one calendar year without playing a single tennis match, all because of the brand that she built and who she became in tennis. And the last example that I'm going to share with you all is LeBron James, who is one of the greatest basketball players ever. Definitely one of the greatest of his generation. In 2023, he was the highest paid athlete, bringing in $127 million. But only $30 million of this came from his NBA and Lakers contract. The other over 75% of his income came from off-the-court endorsements and partnerships. Warren Buffett says it's not about how hard you row, but about what boat you're rowing in. Andre Williams says it's not about how hard you row until you're rowing in the right boat. This talk has been centered around how you can find a game that's rigged in your favor. So my challenge to everyone as I lead the stage is to take some time and find the game that's rigged in your favor. Thank you.